we have been talking to a selection of countries, quite a group of practitioners that are trying to implement payment for ecosystem services with poverty alleviation at large scales. And we are trying to get some idea of these enabling conditions for upscaling, especially. So one of them, very critical, mentioned several times in here, is the political will. So how do you get that political will at top level? You get it here, you got it here in China. And as Virgilio said earlier, how do you work on a very simple narrative to bring down and move the whole system to respond to that issue? In China is the very clear green mountain, silver and gold mountain. So it's a very effective narrative to say what we are going to be doing. But saying is not enough. So political will is very important and it's a starting point, but it's not enough. We need sustainable funding. We need to be able to have secure funding, not just for 5 years or 10 years. We need to know that this funding is going to remain in the future. And for that, it goes back to what we were talking before about this need of pricing correctly market signals and internalizing these externalities. In that way, we can make sure that the corporate sector, the private sector will be integral, a very key player into these decisions of environmental and ecological investments. The next one is participation at local level. We have global issues, large scale issues that are resolved only when people go down to the ground, when the farmer uses the spade to dig in the ground or not dig, when they plant the alfalfa plants. That's when the change is made. So we really need to go down to the ground, really understand what is it that people need. And that's a problem in implementation. We need specific contextual instruments and proposals, but we also need to be able to standardize these implementation programs to be able to make them operational. So that's a dichotomy that really is affecting the upscaling of many of these issues. So for these, we really need to get science on board. We really need to get academy, researchers. We need that technology to come on board to really provide practical answers to how do you do that? How do you bring together that, that complexity of the ecosystem services, that complexity of the poverty issues to practical solutions on the ground that can be upscaled? And how can you do that in a way that has active institutions, lean institutions that can respond quickly, that are not massive machines that will take years to adapt to changes? So we really need these lean systems that will respond quickly to feedback. We need to monitor, we need to measure, we need to design better pricing systems. And we need to put this back into the institutions and make sure that there is a continuous learning process across the whole system.